all these 70 years of history that is in this exponential growth in the last 5 to 6, 7 years, and these last 2 years of the LLMs that has been around, when bigger is better, these huge models enhance and enable our capabilities to provide you the new tools. With 90% of the users that is using AI says that is outstanding the time that I save every day in the last study that we're sharing here. We can bring you the opportunity. This study is providing that 70% of the people are bringing tools to their companies. So we want to be part of that trend. Almost 80% of the leaders think that they need to achieve this process into their companies in the next few days. Almost 80% are bringing more new tools every day. So what is the way to approach this? So we are providing a personal assistant that will be side to side with your daily work in the sales environment, enabling our CRM with more than 100 features that our web services, with the help of OpenAI as their main architecture and interaction, so we can bring you any question around your company, your value proposition, your products, to enroll, sell, provide customer support, and all the process around. And that's a very powerful process. So we're sure that we are provided you the capability to be competitive in this new area. So please take a look of everything I will want to see, and tell you today. Let's just dive in how this CRM with AI can bring you the state-of-the-art back office with all the transactional pieces in a chatbot with APIs, an LLM. So these three pieces together can provide you an omni-channel communication 24/7 in a website or in WhatsApp or using an app. So you have several options to communicate with, recognizing who is addressing the system, so they can bring you the appropriate information, whether that is an employee, a customer, a distributor, and many other roles. So independently of the way that you want to communicate with using just text, using your voice, or using images, you can bring all the process to provide you training, all the different courses, documents, and all the knowledge of the company in terms of your fingertips. You can provide you the progress of every single seller across the different questions and interactions in real time using the process. In lead management, that is another big process. You can record the new leads and recollect all the appropriate data in a more natural way. You can provide new notes, comments, and updates of every single of these potential customers. On the Salesforce management, you can query very simple, and you can provide self-push because all the communications are two-way communication system, and the AI can take actions for you. You can provide this AI as your extension to provide you support to your customers, so you can create your orders or create other people's orders. And in the customer support process, you can create tickets, follow up those tickets, access the frequently asked questions and all the knowledge base, or the post-selling support. On the BI capabilities of your report, you can create access to your data, not seeing numbers. It's an understanding what you're seeing, what is the pattern in there, and what is the projection of that data in the next few days. Just thinking in products, in customer behavior, in your sales capabilities, all of this can be addressed very straightforward. Let's try to understand different behaviors that the bot can have, depends on the audience of the person that is writing. So you have two perspectives to approach this. The first one is the system is customer-centric, really knows your customer. So one option is the system can interact with anonymous user, knowing that the system can share certain information that is not sensitive. Value proposition, your product portfolio, maybe your part of your knowledge base that is shareable to anyone, maybe to receive a ticket because it's someone that has some question or some issue with the company, and so on. The second one is when you provide certain information about yourself, the system understands that you are an end customer, and an end customer has certain information, a profile in the system, can have more information around your orders, previous conversations, and many others. There is another big topic is when you are a sales representative. So the system knows you as before, but understand your business and your objectives. So know your end customers, can provide you capabilities to perform activities behind them, just to support them properly, placing orders, placing tickets, following up information, updating the profile. Maybe you are enrolling potential customers, and you are providing activities and updates around those. So sales is a big piece, maybe the largest one. And finally, when you're an employee, you can do everything because you represent a process in the company, and maybe you are a customer support representative or a sales director or someone that needs to do different activities, and this is the preferred UX to do it faster in a natural language and so on. So in all this demo, we'll try to explain you the scope and a small example at every single of these 4 different behaviors that the system can have. Another perspective that is very powerful is you define what is the system scope for every single audience. It means that the bot can behave, depends on your goals, depends on your policies, depends on your systems, how to behave and which process can be supported for every single of your audience. So let's dive into it. So the first one is when you are arriving to the website and you want just to talk with the system and to understand the scope of the company in a very natural conversation, in a multi-language way. You can understand the scope and the purpose of the system, how the system interact with you. It's customer-centric, so the system understands who are you and what the system can do depends on that. So this demo tried to show you what is a very seamless and natural conversation. Remember that it can be multilingual, and in this case it's English. There is an integrated and customized approach, and the scope of the chatbot depends on the company and depends on the configuration you do in the back end. And finally, the system really understands who are you, in this case, someone that doesn't know yet because you didn't provide you any given information, so the system can try to approach the general information that is open with these kind of users. The second part of the conversation is when you really want to dive into more strictly documentation of the company. So all the knowledge base of the company has been uploaded, general information, your value proposition, your contact info, etc. So all those document presentations, videos are in the system, so the system can use to interact with the end user that is arriving into the company. So in this demo, what we're seeing is just to asking what the company does, what is the product portfolio, what is the value proposition, and so on. So you can continue dive into all that documentation that you have just to provide the appropriate approach to your end users. Now, the next step is when you really need to understand the products and everything around them. So it's just you upload your product and portfolio in the web S4DS catalog with all the photos, specification, uses, stock, reviews, etc. So that information can be queried by the AI. So it is very powerful what you can do around that. So in this demo, what we're seeing is the possibility just to ask for a general category or type of product and bring the information, SKU, description, photo, category, order entry codes, and many other aspects that every single person needs to understand of the product just before they decide to move ahead to add to other order that can be in the bot too that we're seeing later. So it is just so great. Continuing the conversation, you need to understand more in depth the company. So not just general documentation, you want to dive into knowledge base. So the system can have a built-in knowledge base, how to buy, payment options, delivery options, returns, warranties, policies and procedures, and many others. So as you are able to upload all this documentation, the system can query that information properly in the appropriate timing, in the appropriate conversation. Let's dive into this demo when, as you're seeing, I'm asking what is the payment options, what is the return policy, and later how the customer support works, because I have a question for them that I want to dive in. How to interact with the customer support area, then I want to create a ticket, and it's very straightforward. And I want to understand the status and priority of my previous tickets. I want to follow up the ticket that I already created. So everything is already possible in this AI tool. In this demo, what we're seeing is I'm creating a ticket return because I have an issue with a product. Then I can assign the priority because I have a party that I need this product for. So everything is part of the conversation in a very natural language, and the system really understands the tone and the emphasis that the person is placing, and it will place all flags so the customer support can do something about it. Finally, and very powerful, the bot can enhance every seller just being representing them on the replicated websites. It means that the chatbot will understand the replicated website when they're working and represent all the customer-centric, oriented the customers, represented the seller. All the general information, frequently asked questions, all the documentation, contact info, product information, document-based conversation, tickets, and all the things that we already showed you just in every single web representative. So let's dive into this demo. So this is the site, as Lily is the person in this demo, and a user arrives and is interacting very fluently, trying to understand what to do, how to buy, what is the payment options, and many other details that the person needs in order to decide the order. Let's face down the second role, which is an end customer. So an end customer arrives, since the system is customer-centric, really know who is contacting. So the scope, the basic scope is just to understand what is the person, so you are on top of the profile. So you can provide, update, or do whatever is around that. You can do all the transactional process, order follow-up, order entry, ticketing creation, and many others, and provide all the follow-up for previous conversation plus whatever you want to do now. In this demo, what we're doing is just providing the contact information, just to be sure your profile is okay, and maybe you want to go in deep. Depends on your profile, what are your payment options, credit, who brings you into the company because you want to contact that person, and that kind of process that is very familiar on a customer basis. Having a normal interaction in the previous process, now maybe you want to go in deep about the transaction, about an order or a product, understand date and time when you place it, the status, you want to see product images, products in your order, maybe on the last order value to understand you paid properly, any purchase reward points that maybe you're earning, and many other aspects. So in this small example, we're trying to show you what is the idea of how to store an order within a time frame. Order ID, date, status, descriptions, and others. What is the different products purchased in that specific order, knowing the description, SKU, quantities, and all the different aspects, and maybe the reward points, once again, that for you is very important. Okay, let's chop something. So order creation is absolutely important, and having a lot of different options using audio, images, text, and many other aspects is crucial in this new way of thinking. In this example, what we're doing is we're creating an order using an image. I don't know the SKU, I don't know the product. I just saw maybe a magazine, maybe I saw a frame with the product. I want to grab a picture, upload it into the system, and asking the system can help me. So the bot is in charge to provide me the experience to buy the product. So great. Let's see another angle, being part of the sales force. So maybe being part of the sales force, you're always on the field, and maybe even a web app is not what you want. So what you just want to use WhatsApp, maybe. So it is just understand that since the system is customer-centric, really knows who are you, what are your business, what are your historical data, you can understand your KPIs, your behaviors, know your customers, every single other distributor or sales representative that works for you, maybe your business or corporation that is part of your organization, your general value proposition, being part of that specific business, so you have a personal profile that the chatbot knows that, your account balance, your order or historical orders information, and many other aspects of your transactions during your lifetime. And a small example is maybe you want to understand your last order because you sell something just a few hours ago and you want to repeat that transaction again. And going deep about the descriptions, quantity, SKUs, and maybe just want to grab that order, just edit it, and go again because it's a new customer with the same value proposition. Now that you're on top of your business, you want to sell. So one is very interesting scope is using an audio. Just someone then sent you an audio, hey Carlos, so great, I want to buy this and this and this. So create an order, edit an order, or just to see the details of information on an order can grab just using audio. That is very natural. In this example, we are creating an order using this audio.
Hey chatbot, I want you to create the order for me. The product is 1065E, 1 unit. Please don't use any address for the order. I will look it up.
And then the magic happens and the system understands what you're saying and try to help you during the journey. Another scope, maybe you want to do just use the paper because you grab the order, all the details, whatever you want to do, plus, I don't know, any query or question that you have. You write all of this because it's part of your business to explain in that way. And in this example, where we're grabbing, as you're seeing, take the data, upload it to the system, and the system can create the order for you. Part of your sales work is understand your business. And the system can address for you, depends of your role, depends of the access that you have, the products that you sell the most, or your top performing sellers in your organization, your commissions, your trade balance, any given KPI to help you and to make the progression and all the forecasts that you need to do your work. In this example, we are just querying my commissions, but a single a specific month that I want to know the information, but with the same process, you can query almost everything. So finally, how the system can behave for the corporate or the employees that works in the process. So depends on a role management design, you can define for every single area of your company what is the different process type of information that they can address. So just pretend that you have, I don't know, customer support, sales area, marketing, and many others. And maybe in marketing, you are enabling to create messages and communications that you want to place immediately, not going to a system because it's too slow, and you can speed up your process. That is the kind of activities that you can perform in the bot, depends on the configuration that you make. This made a summary of everything that we saw during this presentation. Is one S4DS AI bot is created to increase the productivity of all the sales for the organization, trying to reduce the time that you need to place into the system to communicate properly, to have a very customer-centric oriented operation, and have all the business data in your fingertips, optimizing the customer and sales experience of every person that is related to the company. What are the key points? All the CRM with an LLM, with all the capabilities of this communication method in a bot, plays you a new capability to be 24/7 in a transactional CRM with all the function calling to interact not only with data and knowledge base, plus a lot of different services. More than 100 services is behind this. The system has two pieces that are crucial. One is the capability to know who is interacting with the system to provide the appropriate information in a role-based process. And two is all the configuration of the scope of the bot to provide the appropriate experience in your company. All the different activities and processes that will be improved are crucial. Training, lead generation, Salesforce management, customer service, BI, and all the different aspects in your company will be enhanced using this tool. How this works, you have 4 different behaviors with the people that is visiting you, all the people that is unknown yet. You can have a very general conversation, provide a document-based conversation with your knowledge base, recommending products, accessing general frequently asked questions, ticketing management, and many others. 2, when you know your customer, you really can provide a profile to update the data, to behave properly according to that customer, provide customer tracking, order creation in a unique experience using images or any other given way. For your Salesforce, you have everything. That's the key element of this tool, is to provide profile, capability of query almost everything, the capability to create orders in a lot of different ways using audio, papers, and many others. And finally, providing the information, analytics, and forecasts of the information that they need to improve their business. Then the internal users, all your employees, depends on the area, depends on the roles you design, can have a lot of good interactions and a faster way of work every single day. So hopefully you enjoy all this content. Please let's grab a conversation so we can discuss the future of sales using these AI tools. Thank you.